Remember to check out sarahsnakeshop.com for corn snakes and corn snake accessories, including corn snake morph books, t-shirts, notepads, masks, as well as other things. Hey everybody, Sarah here. Today I wanted to do a video on how I boil pinky mice for babies that are a little pickier feeders. I recorded these videos a long time ago and just hadn't really come up with a good time to post them. But breeding season is starting and a lot of people are going to start having baby snakes. I figured this was a pretty good time to do that. Really quick, I want to thank our members on this channel. You guys make it possible for me to do everything that I do here, so thank you guys so much for your continued support. If anybody else would like to become a member, it's $2 a month, and you get access to live videos after they're over, as well as your own video every single week. Also, please check out Reptilinks.com, and you can use my code SarahSnake27 at checkout for a discount there. Reptilinks are whole ground prey food for your snakes, and you can also use them for other reptiles. They have multiple different kinds. They have some that are just meat, which I like to use the rabbit quail mix for my snakes, but they also have different kinds with veggies and fruits for different kinds of lizards and other types of animals that need that varying diet. They have a $100 money back guarantee, so if you're not satisfied, you're at least not out that whole amount of money. So before I actually jump into all the videos, I want to preface this with all of these rodents were ones that were already frozen, already euthanized and put into bags. They're ones that you would just buy online from somewhere like Perfect Prey or Rodent Pro, something like that. I don't recommend boiling rodents unless you absolutely have to, but if you have some picky baby snakes for some reason, boiling actually really helps. So this is how we go about doing that. I like to start out with just frozen pinky mice that are in a heat-safe container, and then I boil some water in a water boiler. It doesn't need to be much, just enough. Once the water is boiling, I will then take it and pour it over the pinky mice in the container to boil them and also thaw them out at the same time. You know when they're done when the skin starts to turn a little bit of a gray color, and I also like to rinse them with cool water afterwards so that they're not super hot for the baby snakes to eat. After that, I dry them out and I pat them dry with a clean paper towel. But I'll take any snake that prefers boiled food, put them in a deli cup, and let them do their thing. Boom, we got it. And then once they eat the food, you're good to go. Put them back in their enclosure like you normally would, as if they'd eaten any other meal. One of the biggest differences that I have noticed with feeding these two snakes as opposed to ones that had not been boiled is it does leave a sort of harder lump in their belly, where normally a pinky mouse can sort of be squished and stretched. If it's boiled, it doesn't really have the ability to squish and stretch like that. So it might be better to go with a smaller meal than normal for a snake if you are intending to boil their food. So for example, if a snake normally takes a maybe small pinky mouse, if you need to boil food for the snake, I would go with an extra small because it's not going to be as malleable. Another thing to keep in mind as well is that a lot of times the snake is not going to be able to eat past the front feet of the rodents once they're boiled. Again, since it's not as malleable, those feet aren't going to be able to fold down, and sometimes the snake will kind of get stuck on those front feet. So as gross as it sounds, in order for things to be as good as they could be, it's best to remove those front feet after you have boiled the rodent before you give it to the snake, so that the snake has the best chance of actually taking that food down. And the reason that I do and say all of this is because I know that baby snakes, if they are trouble feeders, you want to give them every chance possible. A few reasons to boil is mostly, again, if you have a trouble feeder that just really won't eat anything else and you've been having issues with getting them to eat, this is the first go-to for a lot of breeders to eventually transition the snake to eating just regular frozen thawed pinky mice. In order to do this transition, just boil them a little bit less every time, and eventually you won't have to boil them at all. Now, when it comes to boiling other types of food, you still can do that. So, example, if you're feeding maybe rat pinkies instead, or maybe even you have a larger rat snake baby that's having some issues, you still can boil larger rodents. I don't necessarily recommend boiling things that have a lot of fur because it kind of gets gross. The fur can kind of fall off. And also keep in mind, this is generally a gross process. You are literally boiling these whole animals, and so sometimes the bellies might explode. You might have a lot of really gross things happening. So just keep in mind when you're doing this that it's not going to be as clean as I made it appear in the video. I've done this many times and have kind of got it down to a science, but the fresher the pinkies are, the better they're going to be for boiling. If you get ones that have been like in the back of the freezer for a long time, the older that they are, the more gross it's going to be when you boil them. And if you're feeding your snake something like quail or other things, I haven't actually personally tried to boil a quail anything, so I can't really say either way on that. I have heard of some people doing it and with some success. I've also heard of some people feeding their snakes boiled egg if they have trouble feeders. Again, I have not done that. But if you have a trouble feeder, I know how frustrating that can be. And if you're willing to try anything, I would say give anything a shot that you think is going to work that's not actually going to hurt the snake. I have another video on different things that you can do to feed your snake if they're trouble feeders. I'll link that above for you guys. I also have another video specifically on tease feeding, so if you are not wanting to do the boiling, or if the boiling isn't working, or other things that you have tried aren't working, I will also link a tease feeding video up there as well to show you how to do that. Boiling the pinkies does not seem to have any other negative consequences to the snakes. It doesn't seem to cause them to have any weird poops. It doesn't seem to cause any constipation problems or anything like that. It isn't something that I would recommend for the snake for its entire life if you can avoid it, just because boiling can suck out some of the nutrients, and a snake's body is not 100% geared toward breaking down cooked food. So if you can get the snake on regular, not boiled, like completely unaltered rodents, that's going to be your best shot. But I always say for baby snakes, cooked calories are better than no calories. Just the head of a pinky, if you can get them to eat just the head, like those calories are better than no calories. We would, of course, love if all snakes hatched out of the egg ready to just eat whatever we throw at them, but that just isn't the case all the time, and that's why I'm making this video. So I hope that it really helps you. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and again, a lot of your comments I will go through and I will answer them directly, but I will also be adding them to a Q&A at the end of the month. So if you have any burning questions that are corn snake related, whether it's morph, care, anything like that, leave those in the comments and I will put them in a Q&A later on this month. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.